All right, for the sake of the record, I'm going to start a new practice and just ask each of the commission members to introduce themselves. I think it'll be a good practice too when we have applicants. So we'll just go around the table clockwise.
Sure.
Alan
Cantor.
Jessica May.
Tom Stevenson.
Aaron Sleep. Tamara Lori.
Rich Peters.
Lynette Wacker, staff to the commission.
Krista May, recording clerk.
and I'm Paul Knierim. So on our agenda for this evening, our first order of business is the minutes from the December 16th meeting. Previously circulated by the clerk. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or edits? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next on the agenda is correspondence.
Do we have any alternates seated? Who's seated? I think so.
We don't have any applications
Oh, right.
this evening, and I don't anticipate voting. But that's a great, thank you for saying that, because it's a good segue before we get to correspondence to just explain why we have a meeting, even though we don't have applications. Lynette and I chatted about it and thought from our December meeting, we had some momentum on a couple of items, non-application type, that the commission is working on, and felt that having a meeting so we could continue our discussions and maybe move that business forward a little bit would be good. I'm also hoping to attempt when possible to keep our meetings to an hour. And so I thought if we don't have an application, we could be focused and be in and out for our session. So we'll see how it goes, but that was the rationale for tonight. So back to correspondence.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Anything in the staff report arena?
No, well, actually, I sent you all an email today about, I lost my notes. Where did I put it? It took me forever to find it.
Using our emails for the,
What's that?
using our emails for the historic, I don't remember the name of the.
Oh, I probably left it on my desk. It's that organization that,
Right.
NAPC.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
thank you. Because of our CLG status, they're allowing us to have a membership to that. And so if I provide them with all of your emails, anybody who wants to, I believe they're going to add you to their list so that you can be on their mailing list. You'll get the announcements directly and you'll be able to access the materials that they're offering, all the resources that they have. So if anybody does not want me to add them to that list, which I got in your response, just let me know and then you won't get emails from them.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're on to old business, so indicated because we've discussed all of these items in the past, but first on the list is further discussion on historic building markers. Among the topics of discussion last time was the possibility of coming up with a prototype as a precursor to then contacting owners, so we have something to show them. That is a possibility for a building marker. Aaron, you did some spade work on that? Terrific.
Can you turn on sharing, you guys? Because there's the sharing option on.
Yes, I remember, yeah, she
Should have to do-
declined.
Okay, wait, hold on. How did I decline?
I think you declined. To be promoted to a panelist?
Oh, okay. Nothing popped up.
You are screen sharing. It says on my end here.
I'm screen sharing.
No, I'm screen sharing.
There should be a little. Yeah, so you're sharing. Go to this little button here, and there should be a little up arrow right in here.
Oh,
This one,
yeah.
and it should say allow multiple participants can, there you go. No, I still can't share.
Multiple, yeah.
Nice.
Okay, you have to stop sharing though. Let's see. You stop sharing. So stop sharing. Okay. And then let's see. This one's these allow to talk.
Promote to panelists.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so I pulled together. I pulled together a little bit of reference just to, again, sort of refresh us and allow us an opportunity to sort of take a look at this stuff together. So I just pulled, these are literally just from a Google search. I think there's only one in here that's recognizable. On the next page, I've got the Essex one here, which is the simple oval with their logo at the top for the Essex Historical Society and just the date. Some of these other ones are sort of nice that they have a little bit of a symbol in there. There's a little bit more room for text, like if we wanted to say who the house was built for or the name of the house. So there's a little bit more room. It's just sort of a how far do we want to go with these? So there's lots of options and lots of different shape options. I started putting together just a couple different options based on 56 Main. Just playing, I'll be really honest, I don't like any of these. But I think it's a really good place for us to start with discussion of like how much wants to be on here, what kind of shape, what does the look and feel of this want to be? Because when I started thinking about, I know Paul, you mentioned like doing a logo or some sort of like little symbol or something. Try to pick something out for Saybrook that'll like work on all the houses. It's a lot harder than you think it is. And I was like, oh, sailboat doesn't feel right. The shield seems goofy. Like it's really hard to try to pick something. But these were just some quick iteration I put together.
Well, thank you, Erin. It's great to have the context of the other samples and some designs from you. Do people have reactions on what's on the screen?
Also caveating, I am not a graphic designer. I don't know how many times I need to tell people I am not a graphic
They
designer.
look lovely and they get the job done. I have to go back and look through my notes because we just had one made and purchased it when we renovated.
Yeah.
And I did look at different shapes and sizes, and I went down to Essex and I looked through Old Saybrook, and there was a reason behind why I ended up what I ended up with. And for the life of me, I cannot remember why. From even what was written on it to the size and the shape.
I mean, I will acknowledge the ovals look better, but like they're harder. Like when I started to put text on it, it gets harder to put text on it, right? And it sort of limits how much you can
It
put on
does.
it.
Oh,
because it has to be.
Yeah.
And then it's very quickly, depending on who your graphic designer is, it can very quickly look awful depending on how much you're trying to force into that arch.
Right.
Um,
And will be more costly.
Where
Definitely.
was this one from? This was a,
Marie got me that probably 5 years ago. It's done in maple. It's
It's-
hardwood.
Kind of a hybrid though, because you notice that the top and bottom are tangents.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
That's
do you have
what
the
that
space?
is.
Yeah.
It's-
yeah.
It's a compromise, right? You're trying to evoke the oval shape, but you're giving yourself a little more flexibility in terms of loading with content. So,
I think the other hiccup is
Different.
going to be where they lay on the house, because for us, we didn't have a lot of room. Because of the corner of the side of the house and then the door, we were limited.
width,
in
let's
size.
say,
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
for your house, maybe you might even go with a portrait format even if you had to,
Right,
depending on if you're just really stuck, right?
right.
A lot of times they'll do it like in the bottom right, like right above the foundation where the clapboard starts, right? They'll do it like sort of bottom right of the corner of the building.
Almost like a cornerstone.
Mhm. Yeah.
black, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
Rather than a house number, right?
So we're looking to have the plaques be all the same for every house, or
Well,
can
yeah,
each
yeah.
house choose the size that they want that fits with their clapboard or whatever?
Yeah, no, so, yeah, I think if we start doing customization on signs, we're gonna go insane. I think if we had one or two,
Maybe
You know,
two.
yeah,
I think
yes.
You just stick to one, and if somebody wants something customized, you could say, great, here's the sign company that's doing them for us, if you want to reach out and get some.
Right. So the idea is some consistency in town, so they like Essex, like Madison.
I think I went to the people who do Essex's as well. I'll have to find my notes because I write everything down, so I'm sure that would be helpful.
So-
Because I had to vet it all, you know.
Sure. So with Sign Pro, if it's AZAC and it's whether it's 1 by 12 or 1 by 10, it's gonna be a clean cut piece of AZAC, and then the sticker in essence is mounted on that. And it's bulletproof, it's wear-proof, salt-proof, water, it's not gonna be destroyed, but it is a little bit generic and it's the least expensive way to go because it's basically a little bigger than a standard piece of 8.5 by 11. Not saying that's what we gotta do, just, there is probably a difference of price if we start getting ovals and things in AZAC material. Not saying it has to be AZAC, but it's, a nice surface. Yeah. It looks white forever.
Well, to me, the first decision we need to make is what information wants to be on there. To me is the number one thing, because then that's gonna determine how big does this thing need to be to fit that information on there, and then what sort of shape makes sense to try to adapt that information. So to me, that's sort of question number one, how much actually needs to be on there? Because if you look at the Essex one, at least this example I pulled, was just a name and a date and the Historical Society logo. So, I mean, depends on how fancy we want to get.
I think some houses might not have a name though.
Yeah,
Correct.
So it would be
just a date
Yeah,
and maybe a little symbol.
and then other houses might want to put a little, or buildings, a little history.
I mean, you know
Like
who
one line.
one of the first residents or the first owners though, right? For almost every building in town, even if it doesn't have a formal name.
Hmm,
And that's-
probably
That's
to go
interesting.
through the
Yeah.
history,
It's
the
a question of, is that
documentation,
important?
but a lot of them are listed as just the address.
Well, if we know it, we can offer it to the
Yeah.
person, it's nice, they might not even know. So we go down the road and we look through the archives, and if it's knowable, you offer it up. It's not,
It is nice to connect it back. That is our job.
I think you brought up a good starting point. Like, I feel like, kind of a minimum, which you could deviate down or up from, would be a name, if it's available,
Mhm.
a circa, if it's known, and perhaps a logo that ties it back to the town. Now, how you achieve that, or somebody want to deduct one of those or add to that seems like a nice starting point.
Mhm.
And it's manageable in terms of, squeezing it onto a reasonably sized sign.
Sure.
So for this one, then it might be, rather you get rid of Ingham House then, and then say what, just Forrest Archer, circa 1890?
Well, if it has a name, if the name is Ingham House, I would say that's the identifying name.
Okay.
I would skip the Archer if it's known as the Ingham, in this example, just this example. But if somebody wanted to add that fourth item, it was built for Archer, I probably wouldn't tell them no, but that'd be me, but I'd probably ask if they put it in relatively small print because it helps us to maintain our consistency. Once we get a unified or homogeneous look, right?
Mhm.
But I think you had a good starting point for kind of the three basics. I thought that was a nice start. Yeah, through this, the complication of the logo aside, that has to be resolved, of course.
Aaron, could you go back to the other samples for a quick moment, please?
So here was the first page. The couple logos incorporated. There's the one that I was. Oh, I did like, here's the other thing is I found is this one, if you notice, it's, if you hid they have like just a nice little graphic detail in there, right? So that's the other thing. I couldn't find one that I liked for us, but like we could also just do some sort of simple little graphic thing without it being a true logo that just makes it feel a little bit more formal.
an interesting thing in what I'm seeing is, if it's named for the person who built it or for whom it was built, it will be disproportionately a man. There's one, I think, on the prior page that referred to a couple. Let's see that.
Oh, Nathan and Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, probably if you look at the land records, in a married couple, it was the man, not always, but predominantly probably titled in the man. But I would,
Again, if it's knowable and if the occupant prefers that, I mean, it's exactly a big stretch to put the couple, both of their names.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
suggesting is
I agree.
that if it's knowable,
I wouldn't tell somebody no, I wouldn't tell them they had to do it one way or the other.
agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to decide on content, font, and shape.
Well, font's a whole other.
I like that the year
At
is
least agree
larger.
the content though, like, okay, it's a name and it's a date, period,
To
right?
your point,
So it's not
that's what we
3.
hear all summer long is, oh, this one's 1807. Oh, this one's 19, or this one,
Yeah,
all
I
the
like
way down
seeing
or around the corner of the street. So that's what people are looking for,
It's the
Yeah.
year.
is the
The day,
year.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the fact that that is larger is
I like that.
important.
Yeah.
And then do I dare ask, do we want to have any signifier for us on there? Like Old Saybrook Historic, do we want to even bother putting it on there?
Not saying yes or no, but maybe you bake it into the logo question. So,
Do we have a look?
no, but I'm just saying, we want to try to, if we want to try to resolve that.
Are you all going to create one?
Maybe we start with this. Do we want to tie it back into the town? Okay, so let's say the commission is secondary, at least for conversation purposes. Does it help what it looks like? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it important that it say, have a logo or say something about the town? Not saying it is or just simply something we want to discuss. If you picture all these, to me, if you picture all these and you remove the logos and then no reference to the town, and it says Johnny Jones's house, circa 1822. It's not awful, but it seems a little light to me, whereas if it had a town logo or historic, it said, hey, this is a historic building, I think that enriches it a little bit.
The ones on Pennywise, a lot of them are oval and they say Old Saybrook Historic Society on them, oddly enough. Yeah, I know.
Most of these, if you look at almost every one of these references, they say historical something on the bottom, either commission or society. These ones, not all of these do.
Because
this one has the Essex logo.
Have we got money in the budget for buying these signs, or we have an individual homeowner buy the sign?
You had discussed perhaps funding a few of them per year with the budget that you have. There's a modest budget for
We want
projects.
to have funding for 10.
That's my recollection of our discussion from last time, exactly that, which is half of our annual budget at $100 a piece, if that number sticks.
Okay, that's for the purchase of the actual physical sign and the lettering placed upon it?
Yes.
If we went the route that was mentioned earlier, yeah. It's a pretty economical way to make signs.
And I will definitely install them, so.
Let me bring that up because it's budget time now, it'd be the time to bring it up if we need more money.
I think that may have already passed, actually. And getting more money is unlikely. They're pretty strict about it.
Again,
The town's they've historically been pretty strict about increasing the budget. There's got to be,
I mean, if somebody showed up at my doorstep and asked me for a couple $100 so we could do 2 extra signs, I'd probably give it to them.
I would too.
Agreed.
I think it's okay.
So let's pursue this thought and see if we can find consensus on the town, commission,
Society.
society.
Really 3 ways you can
organization.
go, right? Yeah.
Yeah, now, we're paying for it. The commission is, the town is paying for it, but this is a commission initiative as a certified local government operation. this is something we're pursuing as part of our educational function. So there's a little bit of merit to suggesting that the Old Saybrook Historic District Commission could be on the sign. How do people feel about that?
I think that's reasonable. The paperwork that I have here, it's from the like original, right? From, I don't know, from the 60s.
Yeah, that's way back.
Has it was a historical society initiative. And that's probably why, and you said that there's the historical society's name is on, or who's saying that on some of the.
On others, and on other towns,
and on
it's
other
prevalent
towns.
as well.
Yeah, but I think if it's not a historical society initiative, I think it's okay to put HGC.
These all say, historical commission, I mean, most of these are.
I actually like the way Portsmouth did it, where it's got two little dots on either side and it's simple and all capitalized. It makes it look like the house has been recognized, and that's nice.
Couple of thoughts. Do you want to partner with the Historical Society on something like this? And the other thing is, if the structure is not in the historic district, would having Historic District Commission on the sign be confusing?
It's a good question.
I was thinking the same thing.
I didn't answer Paul's question. I lean towards town of Old Saybrook because it's simple. It implies that the town is endorsing the identification of the building. It sidesteps the whole issue about whether it's the commission or the society, or if it's out of the district or it's in the district.
My
So
vote is it doesn't.
I'm leaning that way. It was up to just say it's, and I don't mind, and I think it wouldn't crowd it too much if it said Town of Old Saybrook Historic Building. It's generic, but it's a correct representation, I think. So I would lean kind of that way as opposed to the commission or something else. But
My vote would
just-
be if we're paying for it or not partnering with the Historical Society, we put our name on it, period. Cause if part of our initiatives to connect with the town, educate the town and remind people that we exist, I think doing an initiative and getting out in the community is even better if we have our name on it. If we're partnering with a Historical Society, I would say no, right? Cause it's just too much and then I wouldn't do anything at all. Does it matter if it's a contributing cost? I don't think so. You're just gonna have the name and the date. What difference does it make if it's contributing or not? Right? And like, what difference does it make?
Well,
How old it is,
that's up to you guys.
right?
Yeah, it's just different ideas.
And the old Lyme
Good
is
idea.
hard. So like in
Have an
old
idea?
Lyme, I know they make you prove how old your house is and it's required to be like 50 years. And like, it was a whole rigmarole that like, at that point I was like, forget it. Like I wanted to participate, but it was like, at that point, forget it. Right? So like, I think the easier we can make this, the better.
Lynette?
I was just gonna say, I don't think it's an issue of whether it's contributing or not unless it's in the district. But I think you wanted to start on Main Street, which is not in a historic district at all. So just to clarify that. North Cove would be an entirely different story,
And we could do,
or even South
we
Green.
can adapt to that. I mean, we could say on Main Street, you could say Town of Old Saybrook Historic Building. It's in the district, you could say Old Saybrook Historic District Commission. I mean, the sign printer's not gonna care.
No, it's all on a computer.
So I think it's, you can adapt. And it won't look too crazy. Like nobody's gonna go take a picture of the one on Main Street and take a picture of one in front of my house and say, these don't match, it means nothing, right? Yes, so, but I think it's a good point, but I think you can get there.
Any concerns with, and this is sort of before my time on this commission, but I remember years back, everybody referenced the idea of Old Post Road and part of Pennywise being part of a district, and they're hoping to get them on a district, and it never happened, because a lot of people feel like the second you're in a district, then you got all kinds of other things, covenants to deal with, and they don't want to deal with it. So I'm just wondering if the word district commission on the sign is actually going to have any negative connotations for somebody who's like one of those, I don't want my house being restricted kind of guys. So just food for thought.
Yeah, but if we split them and that said town of,
Yeah, no, right. That makes,
humiliate that.
that's generic in that respect. Yeah, I know, just throwing it out there.
They are in a historic district, just to
That's true, we
clarify.
do have two
It's
districts, right?
A National Register Historic District. It's also on the state register. It's just not a local regulated
Okay.
historic district.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I think that's reflected in the little summary page in the back, right?
in the, yeah.
It says both, I think, doesn't
Summary page.
it? In our packet here.
Yeah,
Oh, some of the information I gave
yeah,
you?
you're correct.
Yeah, I believe it's back here.
It is a list of the areas.
Let's need to get some concrete stuff done here, right?
Does anybody feel like it's a problem in our relationship with the Historic Society? Do we not partner with them, not have their name on it since they've done that in the past? Is that an issue?
I don't think it's an issue.
I don't either.
The discussions I've had with Marie about this is that she wasn't interested in pursuing it as a society initiative because it was done, well, 50 something years ago. But that she would be happy to help with, or have people help with research if necessary. But there's a lot of research here. I mean, there's a lot of identifying information in this little folder, but she was happy to do that. But I think that was sort of there's so many other initiatives that they want to do that wasn't on the. So I don't think it'd be an issue.
I don't either.
I mean, as a courtesy, we should keep them up to date on what we're doing.
Agreed.
Be
Of course.
surly about it.
You agree too on that? Yeah.
Other thoughts on the name that goes on the bottom, perhaps? Town, commission. Got a couple ideas on the table.
I do like just having the word historic in there somehow. You know, if we just do town of Old Saybrook, it's sort of,
Yeah, if I did it, I would put historic building under
Yeah.
town.
right,
Cause I
Yeah.
agree, I feel that way
Yeah.
too, like, why is there a plaque?
right.
If you don't say historic,
Right.
why'd you put a plaque? I mean, the circa kind of gives
It's
it.
the house numbers or the mailman.
I don't.
He's-
Good point.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're starting on,
Questions those.
if you're starting on Main Street, you're not gonna run into this problem, I don't think. Not that this is a problem, but a lot of the houses in Old Saybrook are on the National Register or State Register. So do you want to distinguish those that are on the plaques? Or would that be a separate plaque? Like you have an example of the National.
Okay, that's a separate plaque, but I wish Barbara was here.
So anything in the historic district that's contributing is on the national list. So that's quite a few.
Mhm.
But that's not gonna come up right away, because you're gonna start on Main Street and that'll take you a few years, I think, to get through, if you're gonna do 10.
The Essex one does have EHS, so
Mhm.
we know what that means, nobody else does.
Well, maybe the people in Essex know that.
Right.
If you hadn't told me,
Right.
I might not have
Yeah.
known, but
And can you go back, either back or forward, I don't know where we are on the slides, just examples? One comment on, so the one right there that's 1735, that style to me is gonna work in a area where you have homes that are similar in age.
Mhm.
That is too colonial for a lot of the properties in this town, especially on Main Street.
Mhm.
There's such a 150-year differential, so that I would probably shy away from something like that.
All right, on this issue, we've got a proposal that is Town of Old Saybrook Historic Building.
outside the district, if we want to do that.
Yeah. What do people
I'm good.
think? Is that,
I
do
like
we have a
that.
consensus around that?
Do you need town of?
Good question. I know one rule in science is the fewer words, the better.
Yeah.
So.
But we can, I can do a little graphic or something, you could see what they look like, how crowded they get with the word town out, without the word town out. It's bring you a picture that.
Do you want me to just get a prototype from him, just so we can see what it looks like on a board, and then just, he'll do it for free for me.
Or you do it on phone call or something, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever, even
Yeah.
if it's scrappy, or I can bring my own AZAC in, whatever, just have him do it so we can look at it for the next
Are you
meeting.
suggesting town of Old Saybrook?
The question is, should we put town up, because it gets pretty crowded.
Saybrook.
Yeah.
I think it's too many words.
I agree.
Okay, so we're gonna say,
And then I put a return, so in
A new
the,
line. for-
Yeah, but historic building.
Building.
all right, so that's what we're gonna go with, Old Saybrook Historic Building.
yeah, maybe take the town out of off.
All right, I'll put a question mark there. All right.
Now, one of those, if I was making the sign, not a graphic expert, but if I was making the sign, I would make one of those two lines smaller than the other, a smaller font than the other.
Mhm.
If you want to emphasize historic building, I'd make that bigger. I'd make the town of Old Saybrook smaller, or vice versa. I would probably lean towards historic building being the bigger font. Old Saybrook being a smaller font, just so you don't crowd the sign too
Let me
much.
just have.
I'm gonna vote if we're not putting our name on it.
Examples.
Yeah,
say
That way it's, that
building
was,
altogether. Like, you don't need to, you're in Old Saybrook, you know you're in Old Saybrook. You don't need to know that it's a historic building. It has 1890 on there. So I'm
Right.
voting that if we don't put our name on it, you don't do that at all, because it's just more gack for what reason?
Okay.
Would be my
An
vote.
idea, yeah.
Go back to the Portsmouth one. Yeah, right
This
there.
one.
I mean, that has a lot of words along the bottom, but it looks uncluttered and classy.
it does, yeah.
How do you translate that, Tommy, into what we could do?
Well, I think if that said Old Saybrook Historic Building, it would be more crowded because Old Saybrook's a lot of extra letters. I think it's doable if, you know, it's just a font question, really. Does it get too small? It doesn't matter. You don't want to clutter it up, of course.
I think because it's just riding along the bottom of that sign. It feels almost like a footnote in the other sign,
Yeah.
and it's separated from the rest of it.
I should be more impressed than doing this live.
I'm
Listen,
Is this your first sign meeting?
My first what?
Sign meeting?
No, we've seen a few signs, haven't we?
Yes, so, yeah.
Why do I feel like we've done this?
That feels better.
But then, and then what do you do in the case if you have like, you know, like for instance, the Ingham House built for Horace Archer?
I don't think we would do the built for.
Just leave the built
Yeah.
for. If it's known as the Ingham House. The only one I can think of is this, like the Chapman House here, you know, next to Grace Church. You know, but then I don't even know who.
Like John Bull is John Bull. You know,
Yeah.
on the tavern, it's the tavern.
Right.
We don't care very much who it's built for. I mean, as, you know.
So you're choosing like either the house name or the.
Now, if the occupant, the owner, had a strong preference, built for versus the commonly known name, I wouldn't tell them no,
Sure.
you know.
It's a good question, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
is the upper left-hand corner gaining traction?
I don't think it's bad. It's okay for me personally.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go with the Circa C. I'd make smaller, but that's,
Yeah, I think we'd have to play with the font and all that sort of.
Yeah, I tend to, that one makes the most sense. The left side.
From fabrication too, right? If
Yeah.
it's gonna be, it's
Yeah,
less,
so it'd be
this would be difficult, right?
Yeah.
I like the blue cut.
But I want to do this based on
Right,
cost.
so I honestly,
Sure.
I think what I wanted was the corner cutouts.
I like that.
But I
These
think
ones?
they're, yes.
clip corner.
Yes, that's what I wanted to put on the building.
It does dress it up.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a reason why I didn't do it.
What do you have now?
I
Is it
have the oval.
the oval.
The Essex oval. Exactly, I think it's almost exactly what the Essex one is. But I do have to say, I'm fairly certain that I wanted cutouts.
I like inserting, just fairly discrete graphic, somewhere, probably where you just put it. I just think it,
Some sort of little graphic or something.
yeah, zippity doo of some kind, or something.
And I'm with you. I like the cutout one, but as long as it's not more expensive, I think it'll look better.
How do you all feel about the word building?
Structure, I don't know either.
It's just a little,
It's not a misrepresentation, but
No,
it's a little dull.
right.
I understand.
now, if they were all on Main Street, you could say something like Old Saybrook Historic Main Street. but some of them are gonna be on other streets.
So if the commission is buying the signs, why can't we put our name on all the signs?
Good.
Old Saybrook Historic District Commission.
It's not wrong. It's, you know, if we're paying for the sign. My thing is though, I don't, if I'm on a building on Main Street, the building that I'm drawing attention to, it has very little to do with the Historic District Commission. It's not one of our districts. We have no
But
authority.
we're
But not saying it's wrong.
For education.
Mhm.
You know, and there's advantages to that, right? Little, raises our profile a bit and gets people interested in what we do. So it's not wrong.
Can people be expected to know what HDC stands for, or do we need to spell it all out?
I would agree.
I go like no in that town,
My opinion, I don't think people.
fortunately.
Whether it would shorten the amount of letters.
They sure
we
would.
sign.
I think the average person would know what OS means. I don't think they would know HTC.
Well, then they could ask. They ask the homeowner or somebody else in town.
They go into the hardware store and ask them.
They
Probably
could,
tell them. So,
or come to the town hall and ask them.
if they're that eager to know.
Aaron, would it be asking too much? You're doing this in live real time, which is great. To maybe come back for our next meeting, having all this feedback with two alternates or?
You got, I would say two things. I'm happy to do that. I would love, before I do another version, to understand if we wanted to do this shape, is it gonna cost us more money? Cause I don't wanna sign something that's gonna cost.
I want to say that's why I ended up doing the oval.
Because that was more.
It was more. I also think there was a size issue. So I need to go back to my notes and see which was the, which one out.
I'll go over.
I like that. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, too. I'll go over and I just took a photograph of it. I'll go over to the, them on Thursday. All right, yeah, thank you. And I'll at least get an idea what the cost is.
These older homes all expected to have clapboards, or how are they all sided differently?
Majority of them are clapboard,
And 4-inch or 6-inch or 8?
4-inch
4-inch.
exposed, yeah, 4 of them 4, yeah.
So mounting the sign,
You gotta hit the, when you put the
Put the
screws,
back
you gotta hit the crease on the high point. Otherwise it looks ridiculous and just wherever it goes, it goes. That's what I did in my house. I thought about it for a while too. It doesn't look right if you just put it in the middle. You gotta go to the crease and then drop it.
was that a factor for the size sign we get?
It's a good question, because it'd have to be 12 inches to get it to hit both points, and that's too big. But I'm gonna have them print these up on paper, and I'll bring them next time. I'll just have them for everybody. I'll just make copies.
Worst comes to worst, if we have to put a little spacer. The back of these, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a stainless steel screw and a little piece of AZEK, and make a couple spacers, and it gives it a standoff. So I think it's easily overcome, is what I'm saying.
But you're helping out with the installing?
I'll help them. Happy to do it.
Here would be my guess. My guess is that like doing those little cutouts might be more expensive. So if we did a simple square in white with the little things, and then you just do the screws in the corners,
So I did mine, yeah.
that would look really nice, because then the screws naturally sort of
Mhm.
pull it points in the corners.
So a square piece, but with the painted or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like a
So then,
scallop.
yeah, so
Okay.
generally
Like
it's
a
like a
scallop
square
style.
with
Yeah.
offset like that. That would be my
Nice looking sign.
suggestion.
Did a great job.
So maybe we don't need alternates. Are we
I mean, if
happy with that to get a price?
Did you just shadow that in with that order, Aaron?
personally, I'm comfortable with the one on the upper left. I am too. I don't think it's gonna get tinker with it, but I don't think it's gonna get a lot better than that. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What do you
think
think?
to play with fonts a little bit
Of
and
course,
like
yeah.
to make sure.
What do you think about being in front of it? You have it in the lower right. It's maybe an opportunity to have the name be a little larger without it.
My house. Yeah, I just did George Dennison house.
Mhm.
Yeah, the THE is 3 letters that we don't need probably.
You want the full-size C for Circa or reduce it? Personally, I prefer reduce, but I don't feel strongly about it, so whatever we like is fine.
Yeah, probably a little smaller.
Like 2/3 the size of the numbers usually looks about right, so.
We want to have the Old Saybrook, symbol on any of the flags.
What's?
I would not, because it's readable,
Busy enough.
it's full of information, and we've got the town name, and we've actually added the district, so I don't feel the need for a logo, but.
They're also in the middle of changing the town logo.
Some of the signs we have around town or in Essex, where you can put your phone on it, click on it, and then all the information comes
A
up.
little, QR code.
Yeah.
QR code.
Technically, with Google Image now, you should be able to take an image of this and the Google should be able to just tell you that's the Ingham House. It's an Old Saybrook and pull it up for you. Technically. It should be able to.
Personally, I would shy away from a QR code on these signs, but.
I would too,
Good
because
question.
it's gonna be obsolete
Mhm.
at some
Yeah.
point, you know,
Agreed.
tech, right?
Yeah, something will be different.
Yeah.
And the thing that they did for the walking tour from one end to the other, that does have QR codes in every home.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a tour, you know,
Yeah.
right, I get that,
Yeah,
yeah.
piece of paper, yeah.
All right, let's aim for consensus on next steps. So Aaron, if I heard you correctly, you want a little bit of an opportunity to tinker
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
And if I heard Alan correctly, when you're done with that, he's prepared to take it to Sign Stop and have them put it on paper
Yeah,
so that perhaps at our next meeting, we could sign off on it.
sure. Or I'll just bring some AZAC that I have and just have it ready so they don't have to pay for it. I have scraps everywhere. So I'll, one or the other.
I would just love for us to hire a graphic designer as a consultant. Like I'll even pay for like 2 hours of graphic design. Just so that, because if we're gonna multiply these around town, it'd be nice for them to be.
Oh, you know, the other thing too, you could do is we could just go up to their shop, because he's got 17 computers going on and
Yeah.
designers. And maybe we can come up with 4 or 5 prototypes based on his staff and then bring it here for these guys to take a look at.
Yeah,
idea.
so I think they can play with the font and stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
And can move it really easy. That makes sense?
Sure, if Aaron is ultimately comfortable.
So if I'm take it down there.
Whatever
Okay,
works.
and we'll take another look at it. So if it needs another professional to look at it, we can talk about that at the next meeting.
Are we looking at block print or are we looking at script eventually or something else?
I would think you would want to keep it, something like this, right? So it's legible. I don't know that you want to do an actual serif font.
Well, he's talking about different printing and going to the shop and whether or not it's got a lot of graphic designers there. I was just asking now instead of thinking about it later, that's all.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
we're good
mean,
with block print, you think?
yeah, I mean, you definitely need to make sure it's legible. I mean, you can't, they don't even teach cursive anymore.
But they could do like small caps for the Old Saybrook,
Yeah,
Historic District Commission or something and
Yeah.
play with it. They could play with the C. So there's definitely, a way to make it seem.
I'm speculating, but I think when if they do what was suggested, they take it to the sign, I would be shocked if they came back and suggested to us to do anything in a script. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, I just think I'd be very surprised to see it. I think it's more of a conversation about which clearly visible block style font looks the best and is appropriate for the age of our buildings. That's what.
And we can read it from the sidewalk,
You know, I'll
hopefully.
be able to read
We're
it.
not going on the people's property to read this.
And to Aaron's point, I think that's part of why Aaron's saying, a couple hours of a professional graphic designer, they do a number of things. They get the proportions right. They get the spacing of the letters right. They pick a font that's appropriate. Is it highly detailed where, like, you see where it says Ingram and you see the G, right? And there's a little bar that goes and completes the G. Is that angled slightly? Does it have a little return on it? Whatever. And this is what graphic designers do. So
They can all cut it off and just make it square.
and they can make it very simple. I think you don't want a real clean looking font because you're trying to evoke either the colonial or the whaling captain era for the most part, I think. But this is what graphic designers do. They would do all that. And they'd come back and say, we think this font is readable, yes, but appropriate for the age of buildings. That's what they do. I could give you a font that I think looks good, but at night I'd make sure it was readable. But I don't have that background. I couldn't tell you. It's appropriate.
The computer does it often.
Well, the computer gives you 1,000 choices, but the designer knows which one is most appropriate.
Certainly so. I'm trying to argue with you.
Oh, no, I think we're agreeing violently.
Is there, before we move on, is there anyone who feels equipped to do a little outreach to get a sense whether there might be any resistance with the district moniker? Whether it would spur any fear, I'm talking about Main Street in particular. Anybody say, I don't want that on my building because I don't want to be reporting to a district commission that has to approve my stuff. Just, I see it as a potential issue, and I wonder if any of you feel.
Have a suggestion. I think get a couple samples, like we've talked, and shop them. And here's just examples, some places I might shop. The Chamber of Commerce, Carl, Historical Society. So, we're pretty far along, but we're not, if this offends someone or it's going to be a problem, we'll certainly be gracious about it and think about changes. I wouldn't try to hit every doorstep on Main Street, but it seems like the chamber might be a way to shortcut that somewhat. I think you should shop it. I think you should.
Yep.
Okay, next meeting, we're gonna try to sign off on a version. Following that,
Shop it.
we'll shop it. Everybody good?
Yep, that's homework to do.
Right, great discussion. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aaron.
Aaron, thank you especially.
Really fantastic what you did. So.
Your second career.
Whether you want it.
Moving on to our next topic, discussion of National Register properties. We had briefly touched on this last meeting when speaking about projects for the commission. And Annette, do you have information to share on this you do in the packet, right?
I did distribute some information in the packets, for you all to look over. I have so much in this file. I believe I gave you a National Register of Historic Places fact sheet.
Yep.
So you know what it means and what it doesn't mean. So the discussion was briefly about the possibility of designating an additional National Register property in Old Saybrook. And there's a list of properties, looks like this minus all the scribble, that were identified as being National Register eligible during this survey.
Candidate, so to speak.
Yes. So and then I also gave out a list of the current National Register properties. So that you would understand what it does and doesn't do, I gave you that list of the fact sheet that tells you what the facts are about being designated a historic National Register of Historic Structure. The benefits are, there's a few. I mean, you're eligible for historic tax credits for doing any kind of substantial renovations to a home, as long as it's done in compliance with historic standards. There aren't really a ton of benefits to it. It's really more kind of an honorary thing. If someone wants to have their property designated as a historic structure. There's one little thing that I don't think a lot of people are going to take advantage of, but regarding the flood regulations, if a property is on the state or national register, they may not have to elevate a house if they reach the substantial improvement level, which is a huge benefit. But again, it has to be done with historic accuracy. The improvements can't ruin that. So it may have to be reviewed by SHPO. So I don't know if you're interested in doing that, but grants are available. I mean, that's a grant eligible activity as a certified local government. You could apply for a grant to designate another National Register property. A lot of these on the list are privately owned. And so most of them actually are privately owned. So the owner would have to agree, and be on board with that.
When does it cost much to go through the process?
I don't know how much it costs, but they do recommend that you get a professional to do it. So,
So maybe there's.
Looking at this list, that like, there's at least two on here that have already been demolished.
yes, there's two.
That's awful.
It's, yeah, I Googled the first one and I was like, oh, no, it's that one.
Yep, the red house, the
Yeah.
Jacob Chucker house is what it is.
So sad.
Which one's that one?
I think it was on Post Road, right?
You know where the Van Wilgens is going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You know, it just,
it's, yeah,
for 30 years,
yeah.
just got worse and worse.
And the powerhouse.
Powerhouses. The Powers was actually designated a National Register property and then.
And demolished anyway.
So.
Yeah, it's so disappointing.
Yeah, this list is 10 years old now. So, something to think about. The Saybrook Theater's lives.
Hmm.
The church, I believe, is the rectory. I think that's what they're referring to on that.
Makes sense.
On the Catholic Church,
Sorry?
St. John's?
Yes, the rectory, not the actual church structure.
Really?
Hmm.
Rectory's a fairly new building.
Isn't it?
The
I'd have to
church
look-
is historic.
I'd have to pull the
I mean,
file
it's-
if it's still here.
It's 100 years old, it's not 50.
Somewhere I saw it was the
Yeah.
rectory. Maybe it was in the report.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Anyway, sidebar.
this building is on the list.
The former high school, no, was it school?
It says, on this list, it says town hall. But on other lists, I have seen it designated as, the school, as a school.
It was built as a school, I believe. but Interesting.
So something to think about.
Paul, or, Lynette, this statute caught my eye, but unreasonable destruction statute. I'm not familiar with that. 22 alpha through 19 alpha. DT general stat.
Wait, which one?
This one. Second thing, item 8 on the left.
Unreasonable?
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not either. I'd have to have it in here.
I can give a little sense of what that statute
Okay,
is.
thank you.
It's, the statute itself is in Connecticut's Environmental Protection Act. And it provides that properties that are on the register, or in a National Register district are considered part of the environment such that the Attorney General or any private citizen can initiate legal action against an owner for unreasonable destruction of the structure.
So in the case you gave the example of the powerhouse, someone could have, being that it was designated, or let's say it had been designated, somebody could have intervened in that way.
That's
to
right.
prevent,
And asked a court to issue an injunction to stop the demolition, put a hold on it, whatever. Yeah.
Depending on the owner, that could be a positive or a negative. For a lot of owners, it's taking away some of their latitude, of course, but.
Right. Yeah, it's a broad statute. You know, it's any citizen can.
Right,
can
it allows a
bring
third
legal
party to
action.
intervene, right? So, okay, thank you, that helps.
That's a delay generally though, right? To give the owner an opportunity to find possible alternatives to demolition.
I'm not that familiar with the outcomes of those cases to really answer that question. It's, the language of the statute is very broad in terms of the powers of the court when it has a case like that. I'm not so sure about what the outcomes in practice really are.
Okay.
Well, if we decide to nominate or encourage someone, we'll have to research that a little further, so we, full
It's an
disclosure.
important
Yeah.
point.
Right. We don't want to mislead them, and then they find that they're subject to an intervener they wouldn't have had, right? That would be unfortunate, so.
So is there any interest in pursuing any aspect of this outreach?
Yeah.
Okay,
Feel strongly that we should, yes, try to protect a structure. Even if we like work our way through this list, asking each one of these people, are you interested in that until we find one?
I can look at it for
I know, I
our
know.
houses on here. I can look at
There you go. Can we do your list?
it. Let me ask my husband first. But if he hears, possible tax credits or whatever, he'll be,
There's a
Is
lot-
there anybody that has I mean, we don't want to repeat the little red building and the powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
So is there anybody at the table right now that is nervous about a building? We don't want to have that over and over, right? So is there anything in town that you feel is vulnerable or
I think
in particular? I've not given it much thought, so I don't have anything like that, that I know of.
Good question.
I haven't heard of anything being threatened
Okay.
particularly.
in my mind, the most logical candidates are publicly owned structures. So if there were a town owned or maybe even a nonprofit owned structure, seems to me for a public body like us to be pursuing, that's perhaps the least intrusive approach. I don't know if there are any that fit the bill from our standpoint.
Well, we know there's two on there anyway.
How about the Victorian next to the Episcopal Church? To the left of that?
that's just sold.
Just sold.
Yeah.
See, that's what makes me nervous.
No, the
It's a
opposite.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The guy who lives next door in the
Mhm.
house that's back.
Yeah.
He bought it
Good.
and he bought it to keep the neighborhood consistent.
Mhm.
Because I was gonna suggest we try to push that one before the church sold it.
Now he has sold.
Mhm.
I think that one is in the South Green Historic District already.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
There's a lot of people that I know very well on these properties that I've worked for. So I know there's a number of people that would probably be interested in this, so I will talk to them about it.
Of course, that potential tax benefit, it's maybe a little more influential over a private building owner. Maybe the town wouldn't enjoy much of a tax break or even a church. Not paying a lot of tax, but
Yeah.
so there's a yin and yang that goes there.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, the public one might be easier to just get done. I mean, the town may say, gee, that's the right thing to do. We have a historic building. It was our original school. We should be on there. It might be
Sure.
a good initial one in that regard, even if they don't get a tax benefit.
Is the Kate already?
House, sure. 20s.
27.
Yes,
Is it?
Pretty sure it is.
No. So,
Old Saybrook Town Hall in 300 Main Street. That's the key.
okay, so combined, I guess.
Well, that used to be the town hall, so
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
With the jail in the basement, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that.
That's true.
So we've done one thing already in this regard in having SHPO come down and give the talk at the library. The speaker spoke extensively about this topic and the benefits. What seems to people to be a logical next step for the commission? We have a strong proponent of pursuing this, trying to add a building to the register in town. My suggestion would be we try to do it systematically as opposed to
Random.
knocking on doors.
You're
Um,
right.
What about a letter from the commission sent to these property owners
That's a great
asking
idea.
if
That's
they're
a great place to start.
interested?
Can hurt.
You don't have to be totally comprehensive, but in the letter, you can say there are certain advantages, and we're happy to provide more detail on those, et cetera. We'll meet you at your convenience. At least you consider it. Yeah,
Everybody like that?
I do.
I think it's a great way to go.
Excellent.
So we saying we're soliciting or are we looking for applicants?
I think the letter is to alert people to the possibility, share maybe a little bit of information, there might be an enclosure, and indicate that the commission would be interested in providing assistance to owners who have an interest. Is that encapsulate?
I think it is. In a phase two, if you had a couple, let's say you had a couple of people that were eager to pursue it, but they didn't want to endure the expense. We can have another conversation that says, okay, it's a worthwhile thing. We're committed to it. Let's go see if we can get one of these grants. I don't think, let's say it costs $5,000 to do it, just for example. I don't think they're gonna give us $10,000 extra dollars out of the town budget, but I believe there is potentially funding available. And so we could say to that owner, there might be a delay, but we're happy to help you or pursue on your behalf this grant funding. Let's see what happens. It's a reasonable thing, very helpful to a person, I think.
Is there a heavy cost for that process, you know? Yeah.
Thus,
Look into.
I don't know either, but thus far, the only thing I heard that is real dollars is mentioned. You should have a professional guide you through the process. Well, those are consulting fees, right? And that,
Sure.
that's can turn into real money.
Yep.
Even if the application fee is $500, it's nothing, but if you're gonna spend $8,000 or $10,000 on a year-long process, that could be real, right? And hence the potentially grant funding.
Mhm.
So,
And it sounds like a lot of it is the research part, right?
Mm.
You gotta dig into the research to prove, right, as I understand it, when it was built.
There are criteria
Yeah.
for being registered. It's gotta have historical significance,
Yeah.
specifically to, if somebody who's famous, gotta still be intact, gotta be a kind of a notable structure, not just, a random example of
Mhm.
Victorian architecture. It's gotta be, something kind of special. But yeah, so someone with expertise has to document all of that.
you can be pretty creative though, because one of the arguments about saving the red house, which obviously we failed, right? Is that even though it looked like a rundown shack and it wasn't great construction, it was one of the few remaining examples of an ordinary person's structure, right? It wasn't a palace. It wasn't a public building. So it had a uniqueness to it that might have carried the day if they had made application. I remember reading the description that said, do you know how rare this is? Just Joe Smith's house. There's none. So that would be a little bit creative, but it might have qualified.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
All right. Given the time, we have one more topic, and what I would suggest is not that we dig into it in any depth. It's item C, discussion of substitute materials and possible revisions to the criteria. We started on this topic at our last meeting. Lynette kept the ball rolling, so to speak, by drafting possible amendments. There are now a possible couple amendments to the criteria for the group's consideration. They're located, it's walls and windows. So pages 8 and 18 of the draft that is in your packet tonight.
I didn't print out the whole criteria. I just printed out the sections that
Oh, perfect.
everyone should already
I
have.
saw the window. Yeah, I saw the window.
Changes
have-
are your.
I have windows. Do you have walls?
Changes.
Yeah, avoid anything
How the blue lines are the.
or the back wall surface windows.
It came out, it printed out blue for some reason. I think the changes were red. So you sent it to
The windows are an 18, Richard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it was in reverse order.
Mine were reversed.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. Thanks.
So it's sections 2.2 and 2.5. And what I would suggest, so that we don't have a late night tonight, is that you take a look at that language, but also be thinking about the following question. The current one page of substitute materials that's on the front of our criteria. It essentially says if you're using any of these substitute materials, the building official can issue a permit without your requesting a certificate of appropriateness from the commission. It's an automatic. It's treated as if it were a like for like. And my perception of our discussion at the last meeting was we might not want to go that far with some of the substitute materials that we've been discussing. Put in other words, we don't want it to be an automatic bypass to the commission. We would consider these substitute materials, but we want to know the context and the use. And if that's the case, then we would incorporate it into the criteria as opposed to having it be a certified substitute material. So I would like you to think specifically about that question. Are there some things that we're so comfortable with? It's a substitute material, treat it as like for like. Are there other things where we'd like to have a session with the owner before it gets approved? Does the question make sense to everybody?
Yes, it
Does, yeah.
Okay.
We might feel comfortable with AZAC trim boards. We may not feel comfortable if the window has some characteristic or something. Something we should discuss. And in the end, if we decide we're not comfortable with any of it, then we should strike it. So we should strike. I'm saying we should talk about that.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
So the language that's in there is an effort to capture, Alan, what you were presenting, putting it in rather generic terms, not product specific.
Yeah, not brand, right?
So before we adjourn, any questions or comments on this project?
No.
I think this is meant to say the English, we just have to be careful with our punctuation. I think what we're saying is aluminum clad or vinyl clad. What we're saying. So we would not want a true aluminum window. Like you had in the
No.
1980s. Right? So it's just grammar. We'll just clean it up. But I'm just saying that's what we're trying to say, right? There are wood windows clad in aluminum. There are composite windows. They're more or less homogeneous throughout.
Mhm.
And there are other types of cladding. There's Fibrex, for example, Anderson
Right.
rock. So this is just grammar. We'll clean this up if we decide to agree with it.
Well, all of the kinds of things that exist at this point made by man is a lot for it.
There's a lot. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Is there any other business for the commission tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yep, first.
Without objection, we are adjourned at 7:09.